السلام عليكم متابعين بوكسينج ارابيا. معنا اليوم ضيف مميز جدا جدا. We have a very special guest today. We got the former IBF cruiserweight champion, future Hall of Fame trainer, Johnathon Banks, who trained Vladimir Klitschko, the current trainer of Gennady Triple G Golovkin and Badou Jack.
Hi, Michael Buffer here. Let's get ready for Boxing Arabia.
JB, welcome to Dubai.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
Is this your first time here?
No, actually my second time being here.
Nice. So let me start with you from the very beginning. So you were the IBF cruiserweight champion. Of course, you come from Kronk Gym. Want to talk about that as well. But you shifted from being a boxer to being a trainer. Can you tell us a little bit about Kronk Gym and how did you do that switch?
Well, you said a lot of things in there. But to make a correction, I was the IBO cruiserweight champion.
IBO.
I fought for the IBF, and I came up short.
Okay.
I didn't win the IBF, but I fought for the IBF after I won the IBO.
Right.
Say something about the Kronk Gym. The Kronk Gym, the original Kronk Gym that was in Detroit on Junction and McGraw, is no longer there. The city ended up tearing it down for, they have their reasons.
Okay.
And but it's a monument. It's a special landmark.
Okay.
It's something about that particular gym. The water always stayed cold in the water fountain. No matter how hot the gym was, the water was cold. And it was the best water in the city.
Wow.
I promise you it was. And but it was just a special place. It was a place where many people wouldn't have made it out their youth and teenage years if it wasn't for what was going on in that building.
Right.
And for the building to be gone, it's like a lot of people, it's like drowning. A lot of people is drowning. They reaching for anything for something, for something to save them, but something so they can attach hold to something.
Right.
So that's what, we go, the goal is for the Johnathon Banks Foundation, the goal is to give them a place/platform where they can come and even if it's just to release tension in the city of Detroit and the surrounding areas.
Right.
I mean, that would be a place to do it at. Like a gym, a facility, whether it's somewhere that somebody can shoot a ball to release stress, get some tutoring, get some boxing lessons. There's so many things that can be done, and we just want to be, it's almost like to say we want to be a pillar of our community, but at the same time, we want to be we don't want to be the product of our circumstances. We want our circumstances to be a product of us.
Nice.
So the circumstances we're in, we're trying to establish and letting these kids know you have a choice to get out. Now, I'm not saying all of them are going to take it. And I know this a little bit changing the subject, but what I want all the young people to know is that, and older people as well, if they're into something negative, some feel they don't have a choice.
Right.
All may not come out of it, but the goal is just to give them a choice, to let them know that this is not the only thing to life.
Right.
And most people, I believe, if you give them that choice, I think most of them would rather go to the good than the bad.
Absolutely.
Because it's easy to see what bad leads to.
Yeah, of course.
And you can also look on videos and see what good leads to.
Right.
So I think the good outweighs the bad by a long shot.
Right. So you were trained by the legendary Emanuel Stewart at the Kronk Gym.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about the man, the myth, the legend?
Being trained by the late great Emanuel Stewart was not only a gift or a blessing. It was special because the great fighters that he already has trained, and just to be around him, to travel with him, to live in the same home with him was just amazing. Just to see how you interact, and he just was a special man. It's hard to put into words exactly how special he was. But he was. He was so special. You can't have one person fill his shoes.
Yeah.
It's taking a bunch of guys to try to pour water on the flowers that he already planted.
Yeah.
So to speak, you
Right.
know. So that's how big his shoes was. It's more than one person to be able to have to try to fill them.
Well, what would you consider the top 3 jewels or like wise things that you learned from him? Like 3 things that he used to tell you, for example.
Well, it's not even so much things he would tell me that I learned. It's just watching his actions, the way he paid attention to detail. Everything. He said, if you got a fighter that's at championship level, it's never something big that they're missing. It's always the little things. There's always the little details that they have to have that's going to be the difference between champion and continuing to be challenging.
Nice.
You know, like when you first start, and it's a lot of things.
Yeah.
But when you get up to a certain level, it's always details.
Sure.
And he pointed out so many different details that
You
always have
described
to
them
pay
the other
attention
day when we were at the mall. You described them to me as a professor.
A professor, a superintendent, a highest level you can get of learning. That's what he was on, because he loved to learn, and he the one that he's another one. He one that got me used to keeping up with everything, reading all the time, because it just keeps your mind going.
Right.
It keeps your thoughts fresh, and that's what I learned from him. You will see him rushing through the airport to get to a flight, and by the time you sit down, he got a bag full of newspapers, all the papers that he missed while he was traveling. He got them. He could read them all. By the time he landed, he done read them all the
Nice.
newspapers.
Nice.
So he caught up on everything, you know.
Nice. So he's the one that actually put you on to training, right? Like to start training.
He taught me to train, and he wanted me to train Vladimir Klitschko
Right.
when he took sick and stuff like that. So I didn't want nothing to do with training, to be honest. I wasn't thinking about it, but he always told me he thought I was gonna do that. And when Vladimir asked me to do it, I said I agreed to do it, but I had no idea like that I knew how to do it until I started doing
Did
it.
you start doing it?
I didn't realize how much I observed from him until I started doing it.
Nice. Let's move to the current boxing scene. A couple of weeks ago or so, Canelo lost to Bivol. Before that fight, there were talks that if he passes Bivol and if Triple G passes Murata, then there will be a third Triple G Canelo fight. I don't know if that's off the table right now due to the circumstances of Canelo losing, but I wanted to ask you, would you want that fight? How do you see that fight? Or do you think it's better for Triple G to unify, to become the undisputed champion of the middleweight?
Honestly, I would like to see him unify, and I would like to see him get his revenge against Canelo. I would like to see it. I'm not gonna say I wouldn't, but I think Canelo got some things to do with Bivol, maybe. But I'm to the point where I honestly don't care who G fights, as long as they pick him a good opponent and allow him to fight. That's at this stage in his career. Like I don't care who it is. Like you could put anybody in the division. Just like if the networks agree to it, let's go. Let's fight.
They say that a boxer usually ages overnight and he ages in the ring. Did you feel that moment happened to Triple G or not yet?
I don't agree with that.
That statement?
I don't agree with that statement.
Okay.
I don't know who said it. I don't know what proof they have to go with it.
Okay.
When a fighter ages, he ages in the gym. He don't age in the fight. That's how I feel about it. That's what I believe about it. And so when he ages, my opinion, I believe it's something I would be able to see. Like when you got guys that ages and still fighting, and everybody say they don't have no business fighting, I guarantee you somebody seen it in the gym if they was paying attention.
Okay.
If they're paying attention, they seen it. Like, I don't understand how can you not see something in the gym, but then it only happens in a fight.
I think what they meant by that statement is that at the camp, usually the trainer might take it easy on the boxer. He's still not in an actual fight, so he doesn't push his.
But you're supposed to represent. It's supposed to be.
Right.
Like, how can an NFL team scrimmage for play? If they scrimmage for real, as if it was a real game. So when a real game starts, you react. Everything is reactive.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's how it is for me when I'm in camp with the fighters I work with. Everything is real.
Nice.
Nothing is for play.
Okay.
Because on fight night, everything will be real.
Real. Yeah. Exactly.
It's not gonna be nothing play about it. So that's how I assess the guys I'm with. Because I try to push them as hard as we can. Because we gotta go hard because this is all you got.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you can't take it easy all up into the fight. And then, like, even the great Floyd Mayweather, he takes you ask his former sparring partners about sparring, how hard he goes,
Yeah.
how hard he goes
Hard
in the gym.
work. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It
Hard
pays
work.
off.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, ask any other great champion. Mike Tyson, you can hear stories about his sparring partners, how he knocks them out in camp. That's just how it is, and that's how it is for me. I can't speak for what other people do.
Right.
But for me, I try to get the best sparring partners, the most competitive sparring partners, so my guy can get used to that top competition from round one in the gym. So it's a walk in the park when he gets to the fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Back to the Canelo Bivol fight. Did you feel like, or did you think that it was a weight issue or it was a style issue that beat Canelo?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, is it because he went up and for Bivol?
I don't think the weight mattered. The weight wouldn't have mattered.
So it was the
it's
style.
the way it's the way Bivol fought him.
Okay.
That's it. It's the way Bivol fought.
So even if he was like at the super middleweight or middleweight and someone fought him with the same style, it would be the same outcome, right?
Wouldn't matter.
Because a lot of people are saying it was the weight problem.
It's easy. That's easy to say after the fact.
Right.
But who was saying that before the fight?
Exactly.
So that's easy to say. That's just like if I speed off from here and I get into cracks, then you say, listen, I told you to slow down.
Yeah.
You should have slowed down. Everybody know you drive too fast. But if I don't get into accident, ain't nobody gonna say nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so it's easy to say after. It's easy to come tell me, oh, you shouldn't have did that after the fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but before the fight, I'm looking at it as, okay, he keep moving up in weight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but if he feels strong at the weight, then who's to say the weight is too big for him?
Right.
Who's to say?
Nobody said
No,
that before
exactly.
the fight.
Nobody
Not at all.
said that. So why say it now?
Actually, I remember before the fight on one of these social media accounts, they were talking, that was after Triple G TKO'd Murata. They were saying, okay, so now the third fight is on. And I commented on it. I was like, but we got to wait to see if Canelo would win Bivol.
Right.
And everybody was attacking me. They were like,
Of course. They
Yeah.
thought it was nothing.
Yeah.
I don't underestimate. I never underestimate
The opponent.
Bivol.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't underestimate any opponent. You know, but you know, Canelo got some loyal fans, just like a lot of fighters.
Yeah,
you know, got
hardcore
loyal
fans for any boxer.
So I take my hat off to all the fans of his fans and Bivol fans because these are the guys that keep the sport interested.
Right.
Whether they say something good or they say something
Something
negative. Whether they see me and say something negative about it, doesn't matter. Because these guys are his fans and they taking up for him. They taking up for their guy. I salute them for that. Keep taking up for your guy.
Sure. And what did you think of the scorecard of that fight, like the 115, 113?
I just think they was leaning towards the more popular champion.
Right.
Every round leaning towards him. And that's not nothing negative to the judges. That's not nothing negative to the fans. But a lot of judges do that. They give they have a choice to give a benefit of a doubt.
Right.
And
so they give that to
do.
the champion, right?
Or sometimes they give it to the more popular fighter.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's what it depends on. That's the reason I think it should be a different criteria for judging these fights.
Mm-hmm. I remember when I met Evander Holyfield and we discussed the scoring, he was like, his solution was that they should allow retired boxers to judge instead of judges because they understand the fight better, they've been in the ring, and they can score it better. What do you think of that thought?
I don't know.
Okay.
I sat and talked to Holyfield a couple times. Beautiful person, love the guy, and number respect for him. It's almost to the point it's like commentating, okay? Now, you had some good commentators back and forth back in the day, and then you had guys who actually been in the ring and fought as commentators.
Yeah.
And some of them is pretty good, and they give a different perspective.
Right.
So they put a fighter in there with they put a fighter sitting at the table with guys who haven't fought.
Yeah.
And this usually is a good combination. So maybe something like that.
Right.
Let it be let it at least be a good combination or something. I wouldn't say only former fighters to judge the fight because they'd always don't get it right, and sometimes the judges do get it right.
Right.
I'm not saying nothing about that, but it's like throwing a wrench in the plan and knowing what you're looking at, knowing that the fighter going backwards the whole time. It's not because he's losing.
Yeah.
You know, he can hurt somebody by him backing up.
Being on the back foot.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
You know, but most judges will see it as something negative.
Yeah.
Oh, he's pressing the fight, so he's winning.
Yeah.
And the guy moving forward, if the guy going backwards hit the guy moving forward a lot more times.
Right.
But he loses the fight because he was going backwards.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Because he was pressured.
Right, because it's not fair.
Under control.
But what else do you do? If I go backwards and you come forward, what else do you do?
Yeah.
all you can do is come forward. Because I'm going backwards.
Right.
So it's not like you pressure me. I'm just going backwards, and who knows what I'm setting you up for.
Yeah. Speaking of the guy who just sneaked in here, Badou Jack, do you think we will see him as a champion again?
Badou Jack will be a 3D division champion. He will be a cruiserweight champion. I have no doubt about it. Only way he won't be champion is if you don't have a chance to fight for the title.
Okay.
As long as he have a chance to fight for the title, he'll be a 3-division world champion.
But I want to ask you, but it seems like the team is leaving, and I don't want to hold you back. So, thank you very much, JB.
You don't have to rush.
You don't have to rush? Okay, cool.
You got 2 more questions.
Cool.
You can do 2 more questions.
Yeah. So since you come from the Kronk Gym as well, I wanted to ask you about what do you think of the adjustments that Sugar Hill made with Tyson Fury, like adding that power and all that?
I mean, it was typical. It was typical Kronk, you know. So he did exactly what he saw fit to do. Same thing. I think the late great Emmanuel Stewart would have done. It was a great job.
Nice. So, did you see him? I know no one will fill Emmanuel Stewart's shoes, but like, is he on the right path?
Of course,
yeah.
He always been on the right path. Emmanuel put him on the path, and all he got to do is stay on the path Emmanuel put him on, and he'll be fine. He has a great mind and a great mind for training. He's awesome.
Fantastic. I'm going to ask you the last question, which is, with Canelo losing, how do you see the pound-for-pound list? Like, who is the number one right now? Since, like, there are fighters on there, at least in the top 3, that never lost, while Canelo now received a second loss.
Win, lose, or draw, pound-for-pound list number 1 should be Tyson Fury. Or don't put heavyweights in a pound-for-pound list.
Yeah, I don't put heavyweights on my pound-for-pound list.
I got Tyson Fury.
Thank you very much, and it's an honor to meet you. Would love to have you in the Middle East anytime. Thank you very much.
Looking forward to coming back.